Hello, we made it. Hello.
We did it. Yay.
Finally.
Wow, that was dramatic for a second. Sorry about all the resets there, friends and family and viewers. Holy cow, there's 7 people in the chat.
I think that means there's 2, Rich.
I know, we've been through this a few times. How are you guys all doing tonight? You're all doing better than me. I'm having a half a meltdown back here trying to operate dials and switches and levers and whoo! I'm too old for this.
It's like the 4 actors standing on stage hearing the stage manager just completely flipping his shit backstage.
For real.
Hey, but it's okay, because it's Rich's birthday.
Hey!
And it's birthday stream.
That's true. It is my birthday.
Sorry we couldn't get a better stream for you,
It
Rich.
is my birthday. Thank you. Thank you for trying. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. It's some kind of a start. It took me a second. I somehow managed to delete half the overlay just as I was about to turn the switch on to go live. So, yes. Thank you guys for the birthday wishes. So I'm older, but you guys all still look as good as last week. Better, even.
We've had time to deal with all of our family and friends dying or being taken prisoner.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that. That was pretty heavy. My mistake. Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of Firelight Tales, Titans Heirs. This is our illustrious cast, the players. As you can see, we've got ourselves some cool art this week, put together by a friend of the podcast, or this is not a podcast. This is a stream. Our friend Sean Yanal.
Don't, Rich.
Yes, I know, for real. Our friend Sean Yanal. You can find him on Twitter. I should have his actual Twitter handle in front of me, but I don't, so I'll link it in the show notes.
Chat.
Oh, thank you. Cool.
It's gonna be. Don't wait for it. It's gonna be a moment.
No, I'm not. So how are you guys all doing this week? How is everyone?
Doing good.
You
Yeah.
feeling it? You ready for this? You ready to get back into the mix tonight?
Gosh. I have to re-traumatize myself.
Oh, no. Minimal trauma tonight. I promise it's going to be fun and exciting and feel good.
Right. Our trek to leaving behind the wreckage of our beloved home. And
The only really good part was you knew after last week's ending.
Oh, yeah.
It can only get better.
It's the setup. It's all uphill from here.
Yeah.
Really? Say that.
Yeah, what are we gonna run into in the
Getting
dark
better.
tunnels?
Yeah, well.
No,
I
it's
know
going to be
it's-
exciting, folks. It's going to be
It's gonna be
great.
great. It's gonna
I'm looking forward to the grudge match between Hulric and the lady flying on the disc. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
too.
really.
I'm there for that.
That's
That's gonna
endgame.
be awesome.
That's we either
Bad
all
roll.
die or she does. That's what
I forget. Is anybody other than Angus not have dark vision?
Yes,
the only one.
Only the one.
Yep.
Oh, that's why I have
That's actually,
That's all good.
The
the
sighted
human
leading the
filter.
blind on this one. So why don't we just go around real quick and everybody can introduce themselves to the folks that have shown up out here. Let's do it backwards this week. Let's start at the bottom right. The dwarf with the hammer. Our boy, Hulric Stormbeard.
What's going on? I don't know. What do you want to know about
why don't you tell
Hulric?
the people
Yeah,
about
I
the
mean-
man behind the dwarf? Behind every dwarf, there's a good person.
Me.
I don't know what's to tell, man. I live down in North Carolina and take care of kids and do scouting. That's what I did all day today, was run around doing scouting. But yeah, it was a good day. But just do my thing and do my work. And I got to spend a good deal of time with my wonderful, wonderful friend. And I cannot put pictures up, so you're going to endure this. And I'm just going to show you.
I like how it has the background.
Yeah,
The
of
best
your
part is
photo
the
blurred.
only thing visible is you. It's just like you showing us a picture of
Your
you.
face. You show the picture of
It's
your face.
fantastic.
That's like the most awesome
That
Skype
was
thing
the
ever. It
literal
blurred
most
the background of the photo on your phone.
It
Okay, there you
blurred
go.
the background.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Oh, man.
And
That's
then
great.
And they're playing D&D,
We are.
right? Let me guess.
No, not without you.
Oh my gosh, who's that maniac?
Rolling
That's
dice.
great.
Real dice.
What
I don't
a
know, but he's a
lunatic.
goddamn maniac. So, but yeah, that was my last week, my joyous last week of travel to upstate New York and trudging around in the snow. So that's a little bit of what I was doing. But no, I'm just a guy in North Carolina, man, trying to play good, honest
You're doing
dwarf.
a pretty good job.
Yeah.
We did have a remarkable week. We got to get together with a dear old friend of ours who used to play Dungeons and Dragons with Mike and John and myself back when we were young people with less gray in our beards and more hair. And so this fella was one of like our crew back in the day, and he's not played since he's out of high school probably, but he brought his girlfriend, now fiance, after the events of the week, up here to hang out with us. And man, when she asked, how did you guys meet? You met in school? And I said, well, sort of. We really like met around a D&D table. She became very motivated and fervent about the fact that she would learn to play this game, and thus she got what she asked for. And so we played some D&D. It was quite a little adventure. Lots of hijinks, mistakes were made, but it was a lot of fun, and I got pretty dramatic. So yeah.
Side note, my favorite part of that, where she was involved, was when we were getting ready to play for the first time ever, and she looks at Mark and she goes, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, we're kind of on the same team. You know, but
I've had friends say, like, we played D&D last night, or we're streaming D&D, and they're like, did you win? I'm like, that's not how it works. Well, how does it work? It's like, do you have like 20 minutes?
We're all learning just by showing up. Well, yeah, that's John. He's one of my oldest friends. He's my entry point for D&D. He's in North Carolina. He's scouting. He's working. He's doing all the stuff. And now he's here to dwarf like you ain't never seen before. And so from there, we'll jump up. Taylor, you had an eventful day. How are you doing?
I did have an eventful day. I'm good. I'm Taylor. I write, and now I design stickers. Now I design stickers.
Of mittens.
Of mittens. Of famous mittens.
I saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm here to play wizard for the first time, and stay alive and lose everything I've ever loved.
I mean,
to be an adventurer.
Sounds par for the course from where I'm sitting, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, I'm very
Core
excited.
Gray, Crooksus Copperstone.
Hey, where do you want me to start? From the person behind
The
Crooksus,
very
or do you want me to start from
I want
Crooksus?
you to start wherever you think you should start.
Crooksus is currently about 5 foot with his fur all over, and he has horns. So that's what's going on with him right now.
That's deeply misleading for our audience.
But not untrue, though. No, Crooksus has an ability. Well, you'll find out, everybody. But I want everyone to look forward to that appearance, because that will be coming eventually. But Crooksus is 6 foot, very wiry, and he is an Earth Genasi, but he has some interesting features, like a tail and scales and turquoise blue eyes, and he also has claws for hands and feet, which are really cool for grasping things, especially sweets, because that's his favorite thing, is berries and caramel that his former family would make, but no longer. So that's all gone. So
Does he have trouble opening that shiny golden wrapper?
no,
Texas is our Withers original.
he doesn't because he has his trusty brother Angus to help him out, because Angus is has dexterity, because he always likes to, he's always playing with horn.
Food with his feet.
Yeah. How can you play the horn with hooves?
Carefully.
Carefully.
Well, that's.
I haven't thought if Angus did have hooves for hands as well. Drum, maybe like a harp, but with the strings spaced very far apart, like a 4-string.
It's gotta run next to the harp to play, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hoof-handed minotaur would have to be a percussionist, I presume. But we do not have a hoof-handed minotaur. We have the one, the only Kirk Clark, the tabulator himself, as Angus Brighthorn. Why don't you tell us about yourself, Kurt? Just say hello. I don't know.
Which of those do you want to do? Tell about myself or just say hello? Hello. I've been playing D&D since 2nd edition, mid-90s, blah, blah, blah. I do want to share, because we've talked about, do we share some of the stuff that we're consuming, that we're finding really cool? I am freaking in love with the new Discworld series, The Watch, on BBC America. It's like, it's a bit of a departure from the series. If anybody's read Terry Pratchett, it's not how I've pictured the main city of Ankh-Morpork, but it's just like seeing, and I told the folks in the room this separately in our Facebook group, seeing the character that's like almost like 80% of the unintentional inspiration for this PC that I'm playing in our offline game is just really blowing my mind in terms of just, I don't know, it just brings me joy. So if you're a Discworld fan, if you've read any of those books, I recommend checking out The Watch and giving it a chance. Otherwise, just living and working in Michigan. Finally put down roots here. I grew up here, was raised here, but never really lived and worked here. So that's new for me.
Nice. It's been a transition. I heard you hyping that up. I definitely put it on my list. I want to check it out. Discworld is like amongst the fantasy I have not consumed, and I've always like been around the peripheral of it with like how much connective tissue there is between that and D&D and all this kind of stuff. So I look forward to scoping it out for sure. Yeah,
there are a lot of books, so go, you Mr. Wheel of Time.
For anybody out there who has not checked it out, I have to advocate the Wheel of Time. The show will be coming out, I believe, this summer. They're in production now. I started it back in March during the pandemic. It's 14 books plus a prequel. Robert Jordan sadly passed away before he could finish it, but it's extraordinary.
You had read it before the
so I began it in March, and I did it with an audiobook. I feel dirty like saying I read it, but I audiobooked through from like March to I finished it in July, all 15 books, and I just was not ready to put it down. Like I could not walk away. I was so buried and like kind of immersed in it, and it was such the characters are just magnificently well realized. It's some of the best character development I've ever come across in any fiction, period, full stop. And I wasn't ready to leave, So I just started the first book back over again about a week later, and I'm now like cruising through book 11 on round 2, and man, I love it. It's really, really good. It's a great series, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm just ripping explicitly from that for this game. So,
I did just start reading Peace Talks by Jim Butcher. It's his second to most recent book in the Dresden Files series. He'd kind of taken a few years off writing those. I think this is the 16th book. He was released last July, followed by the 17th book in September. So I think he had a couple of bullets in the barrel. It's good. Really like that if you like modern fantasy, a wizard who does his work with the police department in Chicago. Having lived in Chicago, it's kind of fun to see the city portrayed in a fantasy setting. But yeah, I felt obliged to mention when I'm reading that as well.
Yeah, and I have to say too, I'm like ready to read Wheel of Time. I'm like coming into it from like just finishing the 4th book of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive, which just came out in November. And of course, Brandon Sanderson was the one who finished Wheel of Time for Robert Jordan, and we love him, and I'm ready for Wheel of Time.
Taylor, I've been like hassling a little bit about like, you need to start reading it so we could like do a show about it, because I just desperately want to talk about it to anybody who will listen to me, and I clearly have a lot to say. But even John, I know, is like a Song of Ice and Fire reader, and I was like, John, you got to read Wheel of Time. First off, it's finished. Right? A big plus, big bonus right there. Anyway, to the matter at hand. These people have showed up to see what happens to Crixus and Angus to Eerie and Hulric, as where we left them off last week was quite a cliffhanger, if I recall. So these four individuals, youths as they were, in the village of Erkengard, a village unlike most villages that we might recognize, one built in the ruins of a civilization from a former age, a world of titans, high in the mountains of the Drakencaern peaks. These young people grew up in Erkengard, taken care of, nurtured collectively by the elders of this small place. And they lived harsh lives in a harsh environment under constant peril of their home, their community, their neighbors, their friends, their family being discovered by the Sapphire Legion, the sort of armed forces of the Sapphire Dynasty, the nation that effectively controls the Drakencaern Mountains where this village lies. And after the entirety of their lives, 20-some years for the oldest among them, and mere 16 or 17 for the youngest, they've lived in Erkengard unmolested, unfound by the Sapphire Dynasty, dealing only with the elements of living in this harsh place, which was a hard enough challenge. But over the course of our first 2 episodes, these youths, having been left behind when the hunting parties took off to follow the ibex herds and take their prey, as it were, in this time of year when the herds pass nearby the village. These youths, watching the hunters make their way across the valley, over the mountains far beyond, were assaulted by a wyvern, a dragon-like creature, a lesser being, not as powerful as the mighty dragons of Abrea, but it was mounted by a rider, a scout, as it were, and they were able to dispatch that scout quickly and send his mount, this enormous winged reptile with its venomous tail and jagged maw, back into the clouds from whence it came. But mere moments afterwards, they discovered no less than a dozen more of these beasts mounted and heading directly for their village, for Erkengard. So last week we picked back up as they came racing back to their homestead, only to find it burning. They watched as Eerie's uncle, Bezwanowick, the mad gnome, detonated some type of contraption, blowing up a dozen of his enemies, but immolating himself and his friend in the process. They parted with the dwarven elder of the town, Nallis the Smith, who placed in the hands of his ward, the young minotaur Angus Brighthorn, a short sword that he carried with him for the entirety of his life, handed down generation by generation by generation through the ages of dwarves, from Nalain, the first dwarf who carried into this world thousands of years ago. We saw Rogosh, the Alagi druid, also an elder of this village, and Ursula Vandren, an ogre magi, 7 feet tall, with purplish black skin, a wild mane of hair, terrible claws, but a mother to these unusual youths of Erkengard. The pair of them placed in the arms of these young adventurers a package taken from a secret chest in the bowels of Ursula's home, underneath the village itself, and revealing a secret passage in the back wall of her home, one that Eerie, though raised in this place, had never before seen in her life. The 4 of you fled into this passage, leading down into the bones of the mountain itself, fleeing the village behind you, and as you did so, Ursula collapsed the chamber behind you. Rubble, dust, smashing down into the narrow, twisting corridor where the 4 of you find yourselves. Hulric, your pack is burdened with this bundle of goods passed over to the lot of you by the elders, each of you saying your goodbyes in your own ways to these people as they stood to hold the line that you 4 might flee this place. Sure you can, John. John's got a note that he would like to make, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted a real quick touch that I'm absolutely honored that Nalaine is actually the name of a character that I played when Rich and I met, or shortly thereafter, right? Probably right when we met. And just to have that little throwback to when we started playing, Kurt's distant generational relative is actually the same namesake as mine. I'm just honored. Thank you.
That's
It's
cool.
awesome.
That's a little Easter egg for the crew out there. Nalaine the Slayer, he was called with his short sword of quickness. And so it was thousands of years ago that he walked through the passage to this new world alongside one of the shepherds, as they're called, the metallic dragons that led the first people to this world, carrying with them on his hip this short sword that was passed down for generations and now is in the hands of one Angus Brighthorn. And so, yes.
Since I'm the only person in the group that cannot see in the dark, but I'm also, have the skill to cast the light spell. I'm going to cast light immediately. So
mine's on my staff.
Yeah, and
That's what
I
happened
cast
last
mine
time, Kurt.
on the ring that was passed down to me from my father. So my ring now glows brightly, guiding the way towards victory and heroism and grandeur and legend. Actually, I think is the word I'm searching for. Legend. Legend. Wait for it. Dairy, because I'm a man.
Moo. I'm waiting for the De Niro cameo, Okay, so the four of you find yourself in these tunnels. There, the walls, the roof still shaking, vibrating as the earth collapses behind you, and we hear the soft words of Angus Brighthorn as he conjures the magic of light, illuminating the passage in front. We see dust clinging in the air. We smell a kind of dank mildew. We feel warmth and moisture kind of cloying in the air around you. And this light stretching, illuminating out before you shows a narrow, twisting passageway, one that will not be easy for the lot of you to move through. It's slow going. This is not a well-maintained and cared for kind of route. You can only imagine the last time that a living person came through this space.
Is it like cobwebby? Because I know that the passage came from a place that Eerie was very familiar with, but she even didn't know that this passage existed. So are there like signs of disuse? Like, are we breaking through cobwebs?
You are.
You
are. There are cobwebs clinging down from the roof between the walls. There's dust kind of thick on the floor, though it's a little bit more like silt, perhaps, because of the moisture absorbed into it. Here and there, you could see what looked like tracks of like rodents, small creatures kind of moving through it. But yeah, as the four of you stand, this passage illuminated by Angus's light, what would you like to do?
How big? What's the height of this passage?
It varies. It's not flawless and perfect, but for the most part, it stands between like 6 and 7 feet. There are points where you kind of like can see rubble collapsing down in front of you. Like as the light shines further down the hall, you could see areas where the ceiling looks a bit lower. But for the most part, it ranges between like 5 and 7 feet.
Are we trying to move quickly?
I don't think there's much of a need to move quickly. I mean, they dropped all that stone on the opening behind us. So, I mean, I feel reasonably secure. This is about as safe as it's going to get,
I forget, is Hulric shorter than 5 feet?
I think he's right at 5 feet. I'd have to look in the sheet, but I'm pretty certain he's like right at
4'10".
So Crooksus and Angus are going to have to be the caution, low clearance.
I was going to proceed on all fours. That's what I was going to do as we make our way through the tunnels.
Okay. Eerie will go in front and kind of like use her staff to like take the spider webs out of the way. Yeah. with the light at the end of her staff, just kind of like.
Woman!
Okay, so we see Eerie begin striding down, and I think we hear the like, and we see like the small face kind of peek out from underneath her scarf. The timid, frightened form of Denon, the ground squirrel. It looks like a chipmunk. He's a ground squirrel, though, technically. But
what was the name of the town that Ursula, like, pointed us in the direction of, or that this tunnel leads to?
She told you that this tunnel would bring you
to the Blade Fall.
I knew it was like something fall.
And then we head west from there.
Great.
Does anybody know what a blade fall is?
I've heard of Blade Fall. It's get ready for a deception check. Yeah. According to the tales, sorry. According to the tales that I've ever heard of the Blade Fall, it's a place where the swords of the ancients fell for the last and final time in the caverns, I think.
Okay.
That's when I pick up his horn and I go.
You do not touch
my horn. Touch another man's horn. They're only.
Oh my God.
Rich, have I heard? Actually, I will ask the DM. Has Angus heard of Bladefall?
Yes, you have. As have you, Eerie. Both of you, I think. In your teachings, in the acquisition of knowledge regarding the lore around Erkengard, Bladefall is in fact the very chamber where once you, Angus, found an egg. An egg that looked like a stone. And your assessment is not far off base, in fact. Bladefall is named for the features of this cavern. It is a large cavern that lies in the ruins beneath Erkengard, some miles from the village proper itself. But there are these huge, what might be stalagmites, jutting up out of the ground, except their shape is inverted. They're wider at the top than the bottom, so perhaps some have speculated they were stalactites that fell from the ceiling, but in fact they are not. Ursula would have explained to the lot of you in the years, especially after you found the strange egg down here, that she suspects Bladefall was the last rallying site of the Titans of the Drakencaern Mountains when they fought the armies of darkness after the second arrival, also known as the Great Invasion, the coming of the Dark Dragons to the world. And in fact, there was much interest regarding the cavern itself after the finding of the egg years ago.
Wow, Angus. Okay. All right.
So it's a cavern.
Yep.
And Angus hasn't said any of this, by the way. It was just in his head. He's just thinking this. And we're just like walking and making our way forward.
No, I think he would say, "Oh, this is like near where we found you, Crooksus."
Ooh. That's what Crooksus says.
All right, so he would say, so yeah, Crooksus, I think this is like near where we found you, huh?
I don't know. You found me.
Well, that's true. That's true. Good call.
Eerie just
How would
like
I know?
nods and agreement.
So how far of the journey is it to where we were instructed to go? I mean, are we expecting this to take hours, days?
Weeks.
Well, from my memory, when Eerie and I found Crooksus all those years ago, it's probably no more than a couple hours away. Is that right, Rich?
The passages that you would have taken to get there were well cleaned, well kept, easy to move through, yes. And so you were able to do it in just a few hours. This is tough walking, like already.
This could be winding and sinuous, and yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so when we went to this cavern before, it was just a couple hours, but we don't know this route. It's low ceilings and lots of dust, and it could be meandering around, so who knows? But I can't imagine it taking days, but it could be a few hours.
Okay.
He says.
So the lot of you pushing on, Eerie at the front of the pack, her tiny staff swiping cobwebs out of the way as she goes. Crix is crawling most of the way, moving like quickly and easily behind. Halric with the heavy burden strapped to your pack of this bundle given to you by Ursula before you fled her chambers, and Angus with the light illuminating off your shield. You said, was it off your shield? I'm sorry, ring. Okay.
Ring.
Beaming.
Hence bright ring. He will not be crawling, but he is the tallest at 6'3". Will be being very, very cautious about the height of the. I wonder if like 6'3" is that like not counting the horns? So with the horns, he's like 6'6".
Hey now,
Whoa.
it's an imposing silhouette. Okay. So the four.
Because they kind of go out and then up. You're not like.
The four of you make your way for the better part of 3 to 4 hours. You're carving through these areas of cobwebs. You're slipping on the dust. At points, it becomes much steeper. You feel the ground descending downwards, Halric. Your dwarven instincts knowledgeable in the ways of these tunnels. Are you guys going to press on? Is there any kind of like you trying to stop for any kind of short rest? Is everybody feeling good?
What time of day was it when we entered the caverns after the explosion?
Thought like late afternoon, early evening.
Okay.
Is there any vegetation or anything growing down here?
Yeah, at points there are like mosses and lichens. There are a number of sort of subterranean plants.
There's anything that I could forage from? I would, using my herbalism knowledge.
Sure. So
if there's nothing. I mean, whatever. I'm just saying, if there happens to be something,
do you have anything specific you're trying to get? Otherwise, I would say, why don't you make an herbalism check with wisdom? Ooh, with a 20. Very nice. Yeah, you know that from talking to like some of the night gnomes and the other gnomes from the Erkengard proper, that there are a number of these lichens that are grown down here that can be used in the making of poultices and healing potions and stuff like this. And so I think that you're able to gather as you go like a pretty meaningful like pouch of lichens that you can use later. Cool.
Great.
Sweet. Yeah, Erie's just kind of like staying quiet and like staying towards the front. But eventually she will like slow down.
I'm in the back.
And she like turns turns toward everybody. Should we rest soon? I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty tired.
Okay.
I mean, evaluating around here on a quick look, Rich, does it seem like a safe place to rest?
It's very like consistent and confusing in that you're in this kind of narrow passageway. It spreads out wider at points. There doesn't seem to be anything kind of pressing around you, right? Nothing has like changed dramatically from when you came in. To that end, why don't you guys make perception checks? As Halric pauses and is kind of assessing the area, seeing if he feels safe to stay here.
Oh boy.
Okay. Actually, all of you, even poor Eerie with her 8, as you guys kind of pause, and everybody, I think, like, takes that moment to kind of tighten their breath a little bit and like shallow breathing as you listen carefully. And there's all sorts of strange echoings because of the nature of this tunnel. You hear what sounds like water dripping very far away. You hear like the rustling almost of like a breeze blowing along some of this foliage on the edges of the caverns itself, the tunnel. And I think that you hear, as you're all listening, this soft, like, the scurrying and scrabbling of kind of hard feet, perhaps, moving across the stone. And I think you see a flash of, like, a shadow along the ceiling from further down the tunnel in front of you, kind of moving towards you guys.
Does it look like those things that dropped on us that time?
Whatever it is, it seems to be something very small and uptight against the ceiling itself.
Oh, like a spider?
Eerie like holds her staff out towards it with the light.
So the light conjured at the end of your staff, you lift it, and I think that we see as you swipe out this last like bundle of cobwebs in front of you, we see this shimmering of light along the ceiling. For a moment, it almost looks like a wave of sequins or glitter, perhaps, as the light like scintillates. But we realize, in fact, that it's the chitinous carapaces of a swarm of centipedes barreling down like the hallway, and they're kind of lining the ceiling and the edges of the walls, and you guys realize like they're gonna sweep right over you. They're about to sweep right over you, and you're like, oh, but more intimidating than that, even Crooksus knows the sound, as behind them, pursuing, is this massive spider, the bulk of its body taking up like most of the passageway as its legs grapple at like the walls and the floor and the ceiling, and it comes scrabbling towards the four of you. Why don't you guys roll initiative?
No.
Hey.
Because I don't plan on disturbing the balance of nature, Rich. That's why I don't roll.
Gosh, no. So horrible. Man.
Oh
well. It's gonna go first.
Oh no.
It has a name.
No. Sad robot. No, Kurt.
No.
Here's the thing. Well, no, I probably don't have time to give a TED Talk on Angus's views on the natural order of things. But if he did, he'd say something along the lines of that spider probably would be more interested in the centipedes than having to battle four of us.
What's the marching order? Eerie is in front. Who's directly behind? Let me get the line of you guys.
I would be right behind you.
Crooksus said he was last, which kind of...
I would. These were the two shortest ones. You were getting cobwebs and we're the two shortest, so we would be
We're always in the front.
Angus
I need to be in the front.
Last, so he's thrown by the fact that Crooksus is back there. But I think Angus is third and Crooksus is last.
The spider is like scrabbling its way down, and you see the centipedes kind of part around it as it comes like barreling past them, and they cascade down the walls to the floor where they're pouring, and it's kind of hanging inverted from the ceiling, having rotated up around the wall, the light reflecting in the many facets of it, the pair of these eyes bulging out of the top of its head. And as it comes scrabbling directly at you guys, it is just going to try to take a bite out of poor Eerie, who's in the front of the line. Sorry, sister.
Yeah.
Hey, do you still have mage armor up? Is that true? Okay.
Yeah, it's
no
8
concentration.
hours.
The spider like surges off the ceiling. Ooh. How long does that last?
Yeah, how long does that last?
8 hours.
Ooh.
I've casted 8 on everyone.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's
Eerie.
wicked.
Eerie.
Roll the damage.
The spider like heaves itself off of the ceiling, right? 4 of its legs still attached to the roof as its body extends. You see like venom glistening on the end of its fangs as they like pierce through your sweater, and you feel them like hammer into your shoulder for 7 points of piercing damage, and I need a Constitution saving throw.
Great, I'm good at those.
You
Is that a
are
+1 sweater?
tough and gnomish.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you fail your Constitution saving throw, so you take 7 piercing and 9 poison damage.
Ouch. Oh no, that's really not good. That's really not good.
Okay. That is the spider's turn. Angus Brighthorn, you're up on 16. Ulrich stands in front of you, Eerie in front of him, the spider kind of looming off the ceiling above Eerie and Ulrich.
What does aid do again? Like, what are the benefits of aid?
5 temporary hit points. Is that right?
You have 5 extra hit points.
I think I lost those already.
Oh, you were attacked last time, or
Well, we
being attacked?
We had the fight with the dog and the handlers.
Yeah.
I don't remember you being attacked by the dog. I'm sorry.
Death
It's been forever.
dogs.
I thought you were in the background.
You want to put it in the chat again for us, Mike, so everybody can see it?
Cause I'm pretty sure. Cause I'm generally good about.
Put aid
that'd be
in
cool.
the chat, sure. No problem.
While he's doing that, is there a way for Angus to push his way to the front, like kind of circle around to the front of Eerie so that Ulrich can still get an attack up on the
So I want you to
spider?
imagine like Ulrich in front of you, Eerie in front of him, and the spider is on the ceiling, like kind of above Ulrich and Eerie. So from where you are, you can reach it.
But how wide is what I guess I don't have an idea of is how wide the corridor is. Like, can I stand next to Ulrich and Eerie and get it?
Sure. Yeah, we'll say sure. Like Ulrich was kind of pausing at a point to be like, can we rest here? So maybe it spreads out, right? And it's probably like 8 or 9 feet thereabouts.
Okay. I will swing my cutlass at the spider. I guess we can't be flanking it from either side, technically, if it's on the ceiling.
Not yet.
I swing and I hit armor class 23.
You definitely hit as you drive the cutlass up towards the ceiling. It plunges into this big, hairy, subterranean spider.
My blade penetrates it for 5 piercing points.
5 piercing points.
Piercing damage.
Yay.
The spider makes this kind of wincing groan. Its legs recoiling as it pulls its body in tight against the ceiling. Its eyes darting in this alien, unusual way. That's your action. You have a bonus action? Okay.
Not yet. I have no spells left. This is context setting. I have no magics left. And I have 1 more instance of bardic inspiration if I want to motivate my companions. And I think it's a single spider.
That brings us to Crooksus Copperstone on 14.
Put that on my epitaph.
Great. So I'm going to. I believe I could use. I'm going to use a bonus action, and I'm going to enchant my throwing stones.
Excellent.
Which is a magic
stone.
So
as a bonus action, you cast Magic Stone. If you could just dump that in the chat for us, and then go ahead.
Magic Stone is so fun.
Okay.
Got my
Gonna do that.
Magic Stone.
Yep.
Yeah, Crooksus loves a rock.
Magic Stone. And I'm gonna sling away.
Excellent. So you imbue these pebbles with an enchantment, whispering a prayer to your father, and your sling spinning. You guys hear the familiar sound as Crooksus winds up. 21 hits. For 6 points of damage, the spider wincing as we see the stone crack into it, and it recoils even tighter into the ceiling. Its mandibles turning, its eyes glaring at you. That's your bonus action. You have movement?
I'm okay. What's happening with... sorry, Kirk can go. Kirk is raising his hand. I don't do anything.
I had a question. What kind of damage that was?
Magical?
It's bludgeoning damage, but it's enchanted bludgeoning damage, so yes. Okay. At this point, after Crooksus goes... Yep.
Oh, yep.
On 14, the swarm is surging down the hall, and it kind of like storms around past Eerie and Hallrick, and is like washing up over you, Angus.
I thought this. If we're already at the spider, was
nope.
just
So the
past
swarm
us?
was like in front of the spider, but essentially, as the spider came like down the hall, the swarm like parted out of its way and dropped down on the ceiling. The spider climbing up onto the roof. So I want you to imagine like both of them kind of charging straight down the hall towards you guys. But with that, the swarm like is sweeping over your hooves, ankles, and like surging up around your knees. These centipedes like gnashing and biting at you. What's your AC? They
More than 7.
You're like dancing and stomping and darting around as like knocking these things off as they're trying to climb, and none of them are able to like do any meaningful amount of damage to you. That's the swarm of centipedes.
Do I do any?
I don't know. That'll
stomping
happen on
damage
your
to
turn.
them?
So no, Eerie Vandrin, you're up on 13.
Okay. I guess. Gosh, the spider's like right in my face, isn't
it's
it?
right above your face. You're kind of short, so yeah, you got a little bit of breathing room.
Great. I'm just gonna whack
buddy.
it with my staff.
Okay, the glowing staff.
Yeah.
Like,
Like I have one spell left. I'm saving it. Oh no, that's one-handed. But we can just
okay.
I don't
Disoriented as you're like a little bit panicked as the swarm like surges around you. These centipedes like big as long as like your elbow to your the tip of your fingers. They're like long and massive. There's hundreds of them. Like you hear the sound of them kind of writhing all over each other. Their mandibles all like chewing and biting.
No, I'm
and
good.
Crack.
No.
It's a big no.
No. Nope.
The staff cracks into the stone of the ceiling with this sharp retort as the spider kind of like pulls itself out of the way. That's your action. Bonus action?
No, but yeah, and I just want to point out that Eerie is like she is at death's door.
She's
Like,
pretty
that
hurt.
One bite, she's not.
She's pretty
She's not
hurt.
doing good. She looks pretty
So
rough.
your
rough
gnomish
right now.
friend in front of you, Hulrick, looks pale and wan and panicked as you are up on 11.
Is there a way I can get between her and the spider so that I might be the brunt of the next attack?
Not really, like you're taller. You can try to like shove her back, but it would take your action if you use like an athletics check to push her back out of the way.
Knock her on her ass.
Is there a place I could safely push her out of the way, or would it seem like the swarm would
is like
be there
right
anyway?
next to you, kind of like climbing up on Angus. It's just real tight quarters, Yep.
I know. They just, I don't know. She's
I
just
know.
food for everything. You know what I mean? So, all right, I'm just gonna swing
bites.
for the spider.
Okay.
And see what kind of damage I can do.
Clutching the warhammer in one hand, your shield in your other, you snap your arm out, cracking it in the ceiling. 17 hits.
All right.
Excellent. 7 points of bludgeoning damage as you smash into this arachnid clinging to the ceiling. You do a meaningful amount of damage. You see the thing like one of its legs kind of breaking underneath the force of the blow, hanging limp off of it. It looks really hurt. That's your action. You have movement and a bonus action.
No, I mean, the only movement I would make is if I could put myself in a position to look more appealing for attack from the
So you're
spider.
really just trying to like brandish your weapon and like distract this thing, get its focus. Okay.
Yeah.
Hulrick, that was your action. The spider goes on 22. Badly hurt. It is going to try. It's going to try to bite you, as you did just like lay into it pretty badly. 11, which it misses. And now, frantic, it starts to try to fall back. You can take an attack of opportunity at it, as can you, Angus.
I will try to leave my threat range.
Oh!
Damn!
But I hit armor class 20 with my cutlass as it tries to leave.
Does it back out of mine as well?
Is there any chance we were flanking since we were both attacking it?
No, because it's up on the ceiling, so you're both basically like facing the front of it. But Hulk,
gotta try.
It's like flanking up in.
It is.
Yada.
It is.
It's not going to be good.
Hulrick, you like wheel the warhammer up, and with the critical one, I think like it tangles the spider. Like legs kind of lash out to slap it away, and it tangles. You lose the grip. The warhammer falls, kang, smashing into the ground at your feet. The quarter's tight. Angus, you drive the tip of the cutlass into it. Roll damage. Yep.
Just the tip though. I do 7 piercing.
Nice.
With the tip.
Just the tip.
It looks like really badly hurt as it's like falling back, and it's like looming over you, Eerie, and you're like son of a bitch, like with your staff, and it's going to continue to try to keep fleeing, giving you an attack of opportunity as well.
Yay.
Okay, cool. Let's hope.
Dream a dream. 17, two-handed, clutching the staff. You swing with all the force of your tiny 30-pound gnomish form. Fear, adrenaline, pain, all like driving the staff as you see it connect solidly with the face of this massive arachnid, and we hear cracking as a mandible like shatters and its head twists awkwardly, its legs disconnecting from the ceiling as the mass of it falls in front of you, just missing, kind of crushing you underneath its weight. This creature much bigger than you are. You have killed the giant spider that was trying to eat you, Eerie. That's the spider's turn. Angus, you're up on 16. Nice. There's a swarm of centipedes all over your legs and knees.
The spider's
dead.
Departed?
Eerie killed it. Yeah. Eerie just killed it.
Sorry, I missed that. I am going to do. Do I know what the natural enemy of the centipede is?
Spider. Absolutely, spiders. Cave spiders.
Okay. I am, having killed many cave spiders in my times in Erkengard, I am going to cast, even though I said I was out of spells, I forgot that I have those cantrips that I can always cast. I'm going to cast Prestidigitation. One of the effects of Prestidigitation is that I can create an odd odor. So I am going to replicate, through Prestidigitation, the odor of a spider in heat right in front of the centipedes.
An odor familiar to all the Minotaur of Erkengard, this spider in heat.
That, my friend,
the three of you in your panicked, frantic battle in these caves, the spider still like thrashing in its death throes next to Eerie, you suddenly feel a sense of wafting, pungent aroma fill your nostrils as spider pheromones flood the hallway.
Ulrich doesn't know what that is, so
why don't you make an intimidation check with advantage, Angus?
It's all just one big package of no thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, this campaign's getting weird.
We really are, literally and figuratively.
I don't know what I expected.
Going down
24 with advantage.
You have intimidated a swarm of insects. Truly, a formidable task. Angus, that was your action, Prestidigitation. You have movement and a bonus action?
For my bonus action, I stand in awe as they obviously flee.
Crix's Copperstone, you have a moment to respond as this spider pheromones flood your youthful nostrils.
Respond by doing an action?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess instinctively I see Angus being overrun by the swarm. So he's going to just, I don't know if this is going to work or anything, but he's just thinking.
Did the swarm respawn at all, Rich? I'm sorry, Mike.
Yes, but it has not acted yet. It can't, on its turn. But you see them kind of like moving differently and kind of frantically. So, Mike, if you just click straight up on the spell rather than the little dialogue bubble, it should cast. But I got you. I'll roll it. Save.
No, I thought I thought the protocol was to do that first. Then
no, it's all cool. Whatever's clever. But I will roll their deck save as you conjure a sacred flame.
Do that as well.
I fail. The swarm fails its dexterity saving throws. They take 5 points of radiant damage. The magic called forth by young Crooksus, searing and burning this mass. Got it. That's your action. You have movement and a bonus action.
I guess I move out of the way. The swarm would be heading in my direction. I try to get out of its way. If it'd be heading in my way, I kind of go to whatever.
Got you.
Side.
You see you pull yourself tight up against the wall and kind of pull your body flat against it, as now the swarm is kind of pouring off Angus's legs, panicked and terrified by the sense conjured up with the Minotaur's bardic magic, and they kind of surge past you, Crooksus. A few straggling centipedes, long as they be, racing over the tops of your feet, tickling your draconic toes, while they surge away, vanishing kind of into the darkness at the edge of the lines of light cast by Angus's ring and Eerie's staff. Eerie Vandrin, you're up on 13. You can just make them out, fleeing back from the direction that you came. Would you like to act?
Yeah, I cast Firebolt at the
swarm. Baby, go for it.
15.
Hits.
9.
For 9 points of fire damage. We see Eerie kind of lean and reach past Ulrich. Her arm, this blast of fire illuminates the tunnel as it surges away from you guys, crashing into the swarm of centipedes. The skittering sounds kind of frantic as they burn, a few of them popping and hissing like wet pieces of wood under the fire. That's your action. You have movement and a bonus action.
I'll just stay.
Okay, Ulrich, you have an action here at the end of the round. You could still make sight of these things just at the edge of the light.
I'm going to let it go because I don't think firing one crossbow bolt at that stuff's going to matter. Okay. So that's it.
Okay. And the spider's dead. Angus and Crooksus, you guys each have a round here if you would like to try to destroy the centipedes while they flee.
How far away is it from?
They're 40 feet.
Oh, then I'll just do a sacred. I'll just I'll say a prayer, and a mystical purplish flame appears in the distance.
Excellent. They take another 4 points of radiant damage from your purple fire. And Angus, would you like to do anything?
No, I think Ulrich, he just has a firing a bolt, firing an arrow, or poking it with his cutlass / saber wouldn't really do much, I don't think. So he would let them flee.
Okay. And so as Crixus's sacred flame illuminates the distant passageway with the purple magic, the fire searing these centipedes, we see kind of a trail of them, some kind of macabre breadcrumbs leading away from you guys back in the direction you came. Many of them dead, burned, seared, broken, shattered. And we hear...
Angus would... Because I think the scent, it's not on something. It's still localized to them. He would cancel the scent.
Okay, got it. And we kind of hear the last of their scattering chitinous footsteps, the multitudes of them clambering over the rocks as this massive swarm, quite diffused after your attack, scurries off into the darkness. And with that, the four of you are standing here again, quiet. The spider dead in front of Eerie, its legs twisted up on top of it. Mandibles broken.
I would turn to Eerie. Are you okay?
Can we find a spot to rest, please?
Okay.
Maybe take turns watching or something.
Do you want a
But
short rest? Or...
No, I need sleep.
I'm going to heal Eerie.
I need to sleep. I have no magic. I have no hit points.
I give you 10 hit points. I heal you for 10 hit points, Eerie.
Thank you.
We
Thank
see
you.
Crooksus step in and touch Eerie, grabbing her on the shoulder as this soft light flows from his hands into her.
Thank you.
How are you doing? You still messed up?
I'm better. I'm better. Like 75%.
Is anyone else injured?
Very slightly.
Well then,
It'll be alright. We're taking a rest.
I rub your shoulder too.
Ah.
You for
Oh. Right there.
Okay, so what's the plan?
I'm
You
good
guys are going to
now.
just kind of like square up down here and try to find yourselves a little bit of an area where you could rest and sleep?
Yeah. Slightly less
what
macabre, I think.
What I do is wait before we like is this like we're in dirt and stuff? Like this tunnel's dirt?
Stone. And yeah.
Oh, it's stone? Okay. All right. Okay. Too bad.
Honestly, maybe staying near the giant dead spider corpse might not be a horrible idea.
Just worry something else might want to come in and try to eat it.
I don't want to be too close to it. It smells really bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if something smells horrible death and fire, maybe it won't come.
Something will scavenge it. But
Well, I don't know.
Or we could put it. I'm sorry. Or I was just thinking we could.
the gift that keeps on giving. Her clock, ladies and gentlemen.
We could place the corpse, like if we think there's a potential of something coming down a passage towards us, we could put the corpse as like not a barrier but kind of a decoy or bait almost. So like if something does come at us while we're camping out, they come upon the spider first and they deal with that. Like if they're drawn by the scent of it, then they approach the spider first, and we potentially have some time to do something.
Yeah.
Wait, what did Angus say again? That was
So,
can you slow
so
down
what
a
I'm
little
saying-
bit.
So what
It
I'm
says, can you slow down a little bit, Angus? You're talking so fast. What are you doing to the spider again?
I think we could just use if something is drawn. If our fear is that the spider is going to potentially draw something to us while we rest, then we just make sure that wherever direction something might come from, they encounters the spider first and snacks on it while we're safely like 50 feet away. So things that are afraid of the spider won't come near us, and things that are drawn by the spider will get to the spider first.
Yes, I think that's a good plan. Probably.
Okay.
So we move back about 50 feet, I guess, from the spider corpse.
Okay. So you guys fall back a bit and you scout around a little bit. You find a section of the tunnel that widens out to about 9 feet. The ceiling is like a little bit lower here, but it's as close to like a kind of circular area that all of you can pull in tight around, as you'll find. And so, yeah, you all break out like your bedrolls and blankets and such. Is that kind of the deal here? You pull your blanket out, your bedroll. You're going to situate yourself to sleep for the night?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Holrick would like to, after everybody settles in, Holrick would like to go through the pack that he was given.
So you pull.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, that might be might have some good stuff in it.
Does Eerie have Identify or Detect Magic?
I do have both of those things. I don't know if I can cast them at the moment, but
Wizards, Taylor, can cast any of their ritual spells, even if they are not prepared, by simply reading them out of their spell books. You have to cast it as a ritual,
Yes.
but like anything that is a ritual spell, you don't have to have memorized to cast it.
Yes, thank you for
No
the
problem.
reminder.
Xanatos says in the chat, "Oh look, there's a damn raid in the pack."
I love that. I can't wait to get him in one of these games. It's
He gets into it. That is
on
awesome.
point.
So, yeah, the answer is yes, I can cast both of those. It will just take about 10 minutes.
And Angus is gonna check out the ring because Ursula pointed out that the ring he got from his father, there was in the last session, there was like a little kind of hidden catch or something on the inside of it. So when it gets to a point where he's going to kind of check out that family heirloom a little bit more closely than he ever has.
So we see Eerie like laying out her bedroll. Maybe some of the rest of you guys. Ulrich is like unstrapping from his pack this bundle that Ursula gave you, and it was essentially this kind of brown cloth. It looked like it was rough spun from Roth wool, something very familiar to all of you, and tied in this bundle by this leather cord. So, Eerie, as you're like sitting down, situating yourself, Angus, you're kind of like eyeing the ring with the light enchantment on it, and you're looking at this little catch on the inside. Ulrich, you begin untying the leather cords on this bundle itself. And as you unfold it in front of you, you see that the cloth itself appears to be a robe. And it looks like a small robe, something not suited for an Ursula Vandrum,
Crooksus?
7-foot-tall ogre mage, but somebody much shorter.
It's like, Angus does the fat minotaur in a little coat. From Bounty Boy.
Well, a robe, I hold it up. Is it like it would fit me or closer to Eerie?
It seems like somewhere right in the middle of you. Like might be a little short for you, a little tall for her. But it's just rough Roth wool, and it looks very simple and plain. It has kind of these belt loops around the edges of it, and a sort of rope hanging out of the belt loops.
I think I would offer it to Eerie as she goes to sleep and see if she wants to try to sleep in it.
Sure.
Eerie?
Yeah, she'll take that.
Okay.
Woolly
I just
blanket.
picture any creature that comes by is now got a handy carrying case for the gnome.
Exactly. Put her in the room. So are you putting it on, or you just kind of drape it over yourself?
Yeah, she'll kind of like shrug into it and like, wrap herself
Okay, so I
up.
think we see as the
snuggie.
tiny gnome, her red hair like bushy and tousled, Den in the ground squirrel kind of moving around beneath her. As you slip this robe on, we see it very kind of subtly. The hem raises itself up the slightest bit. The sleeves pulling themselves back so your kind of hands aren't like swallowed and dwarfed by it. And you feel as like you're wearing it for a moment as though like something has like appeared on the inside of it. You feel like this almost like a second layer inside of the robe itself. And as you kind of like lift it out and peer onto like the inner lining of this robe, you see it's filled with patches on the inside. Very kind of like simple looking, but distinctive. You see like a patch that looks like two crossed daggers over each other. Another that looks like a lantern with like rays of light illuminating out. One that almost looks like a simple piece of steel. Another like a pole, a coil of rope, a bag.
Ooh.
Awesome.
And there's a whole series of like additional patches in here as you're kind of like scanning over them strangely. And I think that, Eerie, you have a moment where you're like, oh, like you're pretty sure Ursula made this. You feel like there were moments over the years that you saw her like working late at night, where you would like wake up in the middle of the night to like find a drink, and you would see her like in the corner of a room sitting by the fireplace with a bone needle, kind of like working diligently at something. And you're like clicks with you in this moment, like, oh yeah, she made this robe.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like say, like, as I'm looking at it, like, I remember watching Ursula make this think this will be handy.
Whoa.
Meanwhile, Hulrick, alongside the other things inside of this robe that was folded up, there is a very unique looking piece of armor made of these glimmering scales that are kind of shining in the light, the magical light conjured by the pair of you. Blue, glossy, deep blue. Some scales ranging in size from a thumbnail to some as big as like a teacup. And it looks like a long sleeve like tunic that kind of hangs down low. And as you lift it up, you realize there's a pair of gauntlets of like gloves made of this dragon hide and breeches as well. It's clearly like blue dragon scales, having just seen.
Wow.
Like similar to the ones, like the same color the riders are wearing, like that kind of
those
thing.
weren't actually dragon. They were just colors.
Yeah, no.
Well, but
No,
I mean,
so like what the riders were wearing was like metal scale painted blue, and this is very much like literal dragon scale. And you're like, oh wow! Like as you're looking at it, you see like it's all like kind of small scale taken from joints and smaller portions of the dragon itself, right? But this is like armor smithing. Like this is an extraordinary suit of armor.
Wow.
As well as like now beneath this armor, you see one very similar looking kind of thing. It's a scale, but it's much bigger. It's as wide across as it's about 5 inches in width across, right? And unlike the shining blue, this one also shines in the light, but it's got a tone that reminds you of your friend Crooksus. It's almost copper in its hue. The edges of it are ringed in this dull gray stone, and in the center of like the exterior of the scale, the bulge, right, is a single large sigil that is marked on it in this kind of bright turquoise, as though it's been like etched in with some kind of like magical ink almost. And yeah, this singular rune on the exterior, and as you look on the inside, on the concave side, you see that there's a whole series of runes carved in the language of Draconic.
Wow.
That I don't know if you can read or not. You broke up a little bit. What was that?
How big is the suit? The armor? The suit of armor?
It looks like medium-sized armor. Like you're pretty sure you could fit into it, but Crooksus could also probably fit into it. Like,
I'll pass it up if he wants it. Crooksus, I offered.
The armor?
Yeah.
I'd like. What's the other thing? The copper is the copper shield.
it's not a shield. It's a single scale, and it's a little too small to be a shield. But you have a moment, Crooksus, where like as you're looking at it, you remember.
It's Draconic.
What's that?
I could read Draconic.
Right. So we see you like step in and you remember the words of Ursula just hours ago as you fled her room, and she told you there's something in this bundle like the thing she gave you before. You'll know it when you see it. And as you look, you know you see it. And as you look at the runes on the interior side in Draconic, it says riddles and rhymes keep sharp your mind, though lost across times you may yet know his kind. Laughter is light in silence, mirth is hope in the gloom. Should your soul solve the riddle, it will play like a fiddle, this vestige of thorn in the blue.
Whoa. That's so cool.
That's
Well, I give that to. I let Ulrich
That's
have
a
that.
whole lot right there, huh? I let Ulrich have that. I posted it in the chat for you if you want to be able to read
Whoa!
it.
I don't even. It's so confusing. I just scratched my head. I think it's wise for you to wear the blue scale armor, Ulrich, because you are our warrior at large.
Yeah, but I don't play a fiddle.
I don't play a fiddle. Halric, there's one more thing of significance here in this bundle. It is a hand axe, and the blade itself is this dark black, almost iron, covered in these very sharp, clean dwarf runes. The haft is dark wood, slightly curved, and the handle wrapped in bounded leather on it, you know. But yeah, the hand axe, the scale mail, this larger copper dragon scale, and the robe. And then Ursula had given you a pair of books, if you recall. Yeah. And obviously
yes,
Nallis gave you, Angus, the sword, and Rogosh, I believe, gave one of you guys a map.
Not it.
Well, I guess if Crooksus doesn't want it, I'll try to put the armor on and see how it fits.
Okay.
I will also, as like Hulrich's kind of taking those items out, I would like look at Angus and like hold my hand out like for the ring.
I'm still looking at the ring.
Okay. As you're looking at the ring while Hulrich's unpacking all this stuff, Angus, you see this like slight catch inside. It's so slight, it's hard almost to imagine that you've carried this ring all these years and never noticed it before. But as you're like sliding your finger over it, feeling it ever so slightly, it feels to you almost like an opening. Almost as though it's like a tiny hole, like the slightest raising of this thing for you to like put something in it, or yeah.
I'm gonna see if I apply some sort of pressure on this raised area. Does it like slide open to reveal some sort of cavity or
as
something?
You push down onto it with your thumb. I think that you're shocked for a moment as you feel the sharp bite on your thumb, and I think you lose 1 hit point of piercing damage as you feel your tough minotaur hide on your thumb pierced. The callus is worn up from having played your instruments. It bites into you much sharper than much sharper than you had anticipated, right? And this drip of blood kind of rolls off the edge of your thumb into like this catch, this sort of hole in the thing. And I think there's a moment where the ring like shimmers. You see around the exterior edge of it these seams of soft like blue light, and suddenly the ring like begins to move, and the facets of it begin twisting out upon itself, and this...
I kind of hold it flat in my hands so it can like...
And Erie's like watching intently.
Needs to do.
It literally begins to unfold on itself as the ring is like twisting itself into a series of rings, forming into a globe, right? That like Dyson sphere thing almost, an astrolabe or whatever. As it begins, these like rings begin to like rotate, like spinning, and you're holding it in your hand, and it sits in the palm of your hand. The different facets kind of like rolling and spinning around on each other. And as you raise it up, looking like there's a flicker of like images, right? As each like cycle of itself passes over, you see these images flashing inside of it. And as it begins to like spin a little bit faster, the images is becoming like more consistent, right? And what you see, is that...
Guys, I have Netflix.
Netflix and chill in the tunnels, y'all. Screw this adventuring. You see the image of the cavern that you recognize, the huge blades of the ancient titans that fell in this place, Bladefall. You see the cavern in front of you, and you feel almost as though this thing is like drawing you in that direction.
I tried to picture in my head Erkengard. the theory that Angus is working on is like he's wondering if Bladefall is what appeared in this field, in this visual field, because that's what he's thinking of.
Well,
So he tries to think of someplace else to see if it appears, and then he gets drawn in a different direction. No?
Didn't like somebody say something about that it would help us like find our way or something?
If it's like,
It's like a Jack Sparrow's compass.
I'm wondering if what Angus is testing is, can he concentrate on a place, and this will draw him toward it.
Angus, you close your eyes and you're focusing on your home behind you, on the familiar streets and walkways and tunnels that you spent your life growing up in there. And as you open your eyes looking back at the spinning facets of this ring map, as it were, like, the image does not change, and you feel this just subtle, like, intuition that it's drawing you towards Bladefall. It wants you to move towards Bladefall.
Okay. So his internal monologue is kind of, this thing, it may not take me where I want to go, but it may take me where I need to go. And he just does it collapse on itself at all? Like, is it now just like unwieldy and stuck in this form? Like, he tries to like put it back in the box, so to speak.
I think
he's like trying to refold the map while he's driving.
Gotcha.
And he's just hoping he doesn't crash the car.
I think
like, how do I deal with this?
Begin to like close your hand a little bit, and you start to like will the thing to stop. And I think we see the facets of it begin to slow, and the image fades from the inside, and suddenly it just collapses back, a perfect ring, concealing its true nature, and it sits like directly up in your hand for a moment before it's like wobbles, like boom, flat in your palm.
He just looks at Eerie and is like, I think it's magic.
That's awesome. So I'm curious, can Eerie see the image of the, or can just Angus see it?
While Angus was holding it, like you step up on your little tiptoes and you're like looking, and you could see the flickering of this familiar cavern in there. Yes.
Okay. That's fascinating. I would like to study all of these items at some point.
He would tell Yuri that he felt not only could they both see it, but he felt pulled in the direction of it as well.
Okay.
Interesting. If you are able to take some time and because I know Angus has probably seen Yuri cast ritual spells before.
100%.
He would say, if you're able to detect the magical energies of things, I wonder if you could take a look at the sword that Alice gave me to hang on to. I'm curious if it's if I'd been thinking, I would have like used it to attack the spider, but I wasn't thinking.
Okay, so you guys now are sitting in this tunnel. Your bedroll's laid out underneath you. Crooksus, you have this copper scale, 5 inches in diameter. Eerie, you have these 2 books given to you by Ursula, one of which was her spell book. You recognize the sigil of the meddler just on the cover. The other, the book used by your uncle Bezwanowick to build the crazy clockwork that went mad in the city a few years back. Yes. Angus, you have this ring given to you by your father, the Sword of Nallis. Hulric, you have this hand axe, and you've started putting on the blue armor, the blue dragon scale.
If nobody else wants it,
okay,
sure.
So we see, like, as the rest of you are kind of sitting, situating yourselves, maybe sipping at your water skins, chewing on your meats and breads, Hulric is, like, stripping his chainmail off and slipping into this. And I think that you feel the armor, like, contouring and expanding and kind of moving as you pull it over yourself, and it cinches itself like tight around your body over like the padding that you have underneath. You didn't think for a chance you'd be able to fit into it, but it snugs up nicely around you, kind of adhering itself, clearly some manner of enchantment facilitating this wardrobe change.
Good look for you, Ulrich.
Just looking down, can't believe it fits. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So where are we at? Are you guys going to sleep? Is somebody on guard? Or are you going to examine these things? What are you guys doing?
Eerie, like, says to everybody, like, okay, so I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to get up for all of you and identify all of these items. See if there's anything I can tell you distinctly about all of them. With everybody's permission, of course.
That sounds really good, Yuri. Thank you.
Everybody can sleep. I'll stay up. So
We can take
I'm not hurt.
shifts. Just make me last. I'll do last shift.
All right, we can do that.
Okay. So, Ulrich,
I'll take first watch.
you prop yourself up against the wall. Warhammer at the ready, new armor on, as the other three of you.
Does my armor class change?
Yes, it does. As the other three of you make your way down onto your beds, makeshift though they may be in these twisted tunnels. Here you go, John. It should basically be a base AC of 15 with +2 for your dex on top of that. So I'm not sure how that changes your armor, but it does, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
So scale mode +1. I'll load it in. Scale mode +1. All right.
And so yeah, the rest of you stretch yourself out on your bedrolls. I'm sure it takes you a time to breathe and situate yourself and try to find sleep after the madness of the events of the last 8 hours. After all the loss and the stress, it might just slide over you quickly. But after a time, you're all kind of snoring gently as Ulrich watches. Okay, Ulrich, you're up for a few hours. You hear all manner of sounds echoing through this place. It's ominous. It's strange. With your eyes on this corpse of this giant spider far down the hall, nothing dangerous approaches through the first 6 hours of your watch. If you want to wake somebody else up to take over the last shift and try to catch some sleep yourself.
Do I feel like they've all gotten an actual full night's rest, or what I would consider?
Yeah, you know these guys. You're tougher than they are, so they could use another couple hours. Are you just gonna stay up and take the whole shift and let them sleep?
I'll stay up. Yeah, I'll take the whole thing.
Noted.
Does he gain a level of exhaustion?
Not yet. That'll come tomorrow. Don't worry.
No, wake somebody up.
Okay.
Don't be a hero, says the Valor Bard.
Okay, after another few hours, you feel pretty confident that your friends have slept as long as they needed. So yeah, Eerie, you're probably the first to wake up as Den and Nax is your little alarm clock, kind of nuzzling at your ear, you know.
Ugh. Did you sleep, Ulrich?
Nah, I'll be fine.
No, you won't be fine. Go to sleep. We're staying here until everybody gets rest, so sleep.
Do you need, John, to have your second wind renewed, do you need a long rest?
I do. Yeah, I need a long rest.
Yeah,
but
go to sleep.
I get one more attack. You guys get all your spells. I mean, there's a little bit of a
but also a
strategic
point of
difference.
exhaustion.
But
I think second wind is
Short rest.
a short rest.
Second wind and action surge are both short rest. Mike's got it. Yep.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a short rest.
Yep. So during
No.
this,
Why did I thought action
go to
surge was
sleep.
long rest.
even if it was long rest, we could make it work so everybody could get everything.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Eerie forces Ulrich to go to sleep and starts identifying, ritual casting, identifying all of these
Okay.
items.
What are you starting with? Where are we going?
I will start with I guess I'll do Crixus's little thing. the little scale.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'll just kind of go around and like, I already have the stats for the robe, but I will just go around.
Okay. You sit with your book, this pearl given to you by Ursula from a place called the ocean, a thing you can't even imagine, water as far as the eye can see, filled with salt and fish bigger than a house. You roll this pearl in your fingers, your book in your other hand as you conjure the magic of the spell, and you're assessing this thing, and you realize it is ancient, and it is infused with old and powerful magic, divine in nature. But I think that Eerie, as you like are closing your eyes and waiting for a kind of understanding of the inner workings of this old thing to be made clear to you, I think you hear chuckling in your mind. Silly, silly gnomes. You're not the first to try this trick, but it won't work for you either. Solve the riddle, earn the answers. This is very disconcerting to you in the sense that, like, you've probably cast a spell a few times and, like, that never happened.
It never talks back.
You know?
Yeah. Knowing that Crooksus, like, talks to something in his head, I kind of, like... Yeah, that's fair. Like, this is for Crooksus. This is for Crooksus. And then I'll just kind of move on to the next item, feeling mildly frustrated that I couldn't just figure it out.
You picked the hard one first. Sorry, not sorry. What are you doing next?
I'll do, well, Holrick's wearing the armor. I don't think I need to figure that out necessarily. I guess I'll do the robe next.
As you slide the pearl through your fingers and you conjure the magic, you realize you've read about these things before. Ursula's told you about them, and the magic begins to make clear to you the nature of this robe, which is a robe of useful items made for you by the hands of Ursula Vandrin herself. The patches inside each can be ripped out of the robe and cast to the ground, where they will transform into the object displayed upon them, and will remain so indefinitely. There is no like temporary nature to this magic once it is conjured, right? So you could see more than one patch of certain things and just one patch of other things, and there's a good variety of kind of patches in here, but as an action, you could tear forth any of these patches, cast them to the ground at your feet, and they will transform.
This is a robe of incredibly useful items, you guys.
Says the gnome. Incredibly useful.
Robe of incredibly useful items.
Heck yeah, that's so awesome. Okay. Does Angus like leave his ring out so I can identify the ring? She would have asked before.
Isn't it on his horn, the ring?
What was that, Mike?
Where's the ring located on your horn?
Well, he normally has it on his war horn. But if he would have trusted Eerie with the ring, although he's almost more interested in the sword now, in the scabbard.
Okay.
She would do both, definitely.
So now, a solid like half hour into this process, Angus and Crooksus, you guys have woken up as Ulrich is kind of snoring softly, catching a few minutes of sleep for himself. So you begin the identification on the sword, eh?
The sword, kind of curious what this does, eh?
Nalus's short sword is ancient, old, dwarvish, heavy, made of mithril, clearly dwarven, and runes inscribed just above the quillions read in Dwarven, "Let ye strike so fast as sunlight off dwarf silver." The pommel is a stout octagon capped in silver, and yeah, it's a short sword of quickness.
It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Take it.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And then, yeah, I guess I'd do the ring.
The ring
as well
is a bit of an enigma. As you cast your identification magics over it, it is clear that it is some manner of map, and you know that it was forged by the Titans of old. You believe that if activated at Bladefall, clearly it is activated by blood, and you learn clearly from the casting of the Identify that only the blood of the Titans, diluted though it may be, can activate it.
As I'm like learning this, I'm like holding the ring and like telling Angus all of
And
this
so
stuff.
Angus, I think you have this moment, having heard these stories and legends of old, that like your blood is the blood of the Titans. The Minotaurs carry with them the old blood of the giants and the greater entities even beyond them. But if you activate this thing in Bladefall, it may yet prove to offer more detailed information to you.
I wonder if it would tell us where to go next.
Maybe. We carry some pretty ancient and important things with us to take care of them.
I hope Nallis is okay.
I don't think any of them are okay.
There yet remains the hand axe that Halric has.
Oh.
Yes.
And so with the
I'll do
final
that as well.
casting, this now taking like a good deal over an hour as you've gone through all of this and casted all these spells, rituals. The hand axe, also dwarven in make, ancient, is in fact a hand axe for throwing.
Whoa.
Nice. That's so awesome. You can pull a Thor.
Got some Thor tricks.
Nice.
Wicked. Dragon, friggin' scale mail, and a hand axe that comes back when you throw it. It's pretty awesome.
So, yeah, you guys are sitting in this tunnel in the darkness, the dead spider down the hall, the centipedes in your past. You have gone through this collection of arcane artifacts given to you by the elders as you fled your home. Darkness in front, darkness behind. Some questions yet remaining as to the nature of this Titan's ring map and the holy scale of this copper dragon, the riddle concealing its magics from you, Crooksus.
I gotta go to Eerie. Eerie, can you read Draconic?
I can.
Okay, because I don't understand this at all. I let you read it.
Yeah.
Find there's something about a riddle?
Yeah, I'll need to think about it. This might take me a little while, but if anything comes to mind, honestly, I will say, Crixus, when I identified it, talked back, and somebody laughed at me.
Oh no!
And said that.
No! It's a father's joke again. This is just a joke. That's what this thing is. He's always joking to me. It's a big joke, right? Did he start laughing to you?
Yes, and he said that others have tried this, but we just have to solve the riddle.
But what's the riddle? You read it.
I know.
Where's the riddle?
I mean, that is the riddle, I guess.
I read it too. What? I'm supposed to laugh? I say, hey Angus, you're smart.
You may yet know his kind.
Not so much.
I need to know where the riddle is. I read you the Draconic. Riddles and rhymes, keep sharp your mind. Though lost across times, you may yet know his kind. Laughter is light in silence. Mirth is hope in the gloom. Should your soul solve the riddle, it will play like a fiddle, this vestige of thorn in the blue. So, where's the riddle? I'm confused.
Yes.
It is the riddle.
That the whole thing's the riddle?
Yeah.
It seems to me that if there's a riddle, it seems like, I don't know. What?
Mm-hmm.
Rich? Just some of the descriptions and words in this riddle remind Angus of ways in which the copper dragon has been described.
Sure.
Roldo.
Could you what are some of his names? Like the names he goes by?
He's Roldo the Mirthful. He keeps the copper warrens hidden in the rolling hills at the foot of the vast mountains.
And he loves
He does
gnomes.
love gnomes, and he's known for his laughter, his riddles. He's known for having cared for the small folk like the gnomes and the dwarves who harbor their lives beneath the ground.
You're muted right now.
Oh.
No, Kurt.
I think I accidentally hit a keystroke that muted me. I apologize. Does Roldo have a primary foe? Like, is one of the empires? Like, are they paired up kind
They're
of?
not
Because I know there's
always
5.
paired up, but you know in many of the stories that you heard, the Blue Dynasty, the Sapphire Dynasty, I'm sorry, is one of the largest. It's one of the only one that spans multiple continents. And in the tales told to you by Nalus of his ancestors who fought, essentially, who were brought here by Roldo and fought with the Copper Dragon's forces in his homes and stuff, there was like a lot of conflict between the Sapphire Dynasty and Roldo.
Well, if Roldo and the Sapphire Dynasty are foes, Roldo could be the thorn in the blue.
Well, not for. I mean,
Crooksus is this thing itself.
Yeah, but Crooksus, are you the solution to the riddle?
I don't know. This is confusing. I don't even know where the riddle is, to be honest with you.
You may
Crooksus, you hear
I'm
a
confused.
voice.
I whisper in my head, Father, you have once presented me with a puzzle that I cannot solve so easily.
I think you hear the voice.
And I laugh out loud. I said, "This is."
I think you hear the voice come back to you, Crooksus. Oh, youngling, what do you call a moose with no name?
A moose with no name.
Did you say moose?
Yeah. I say that out loud. What's a moose with no name?
Why'd you say that, Crooksus? Did you hear what I said?
No. What's a moose with no name?
thought the question was where's Roldo?
That was good, John.
Episode 4.
No,
Where's
that's
Roldo?
the title for this entire campaign.
Where's
That
Roldo?
is.
I love
Great.
that, John.
That's
I love that,
really
dude.
wonderful.
He says, "Come now, you know it, Crooksus. What do you call a moose with no name?"
Oh. I don't know. I'd say I'm not very good at
Should I
these. You
tell
know
you?
that. No. You shouldn't. Let me think about it. It sounds like a joke, though, not more of a riddle. Is that true, Father? Are you telling me a
I
joke,
can
not
be
really a
cracked,
riddle?
made, told, and played. What am I?
Wait a minute. Are we moving on to something else now? This is confusing.
Is
I shake
having this
the
conversation with the
scale.
voices in his head out loud? Or is it internal monologue?
I'm speaking out loud, but this is going in my head.
Okay.
Yeah, my
I
voice
think,
is in
yeah.
his head.
Yeah.
Right. I just
Yeah.
didn't know if he was speaking out loud or not.
Well, the first thing I say is, what's a moose with no name? Anonymous?
That's
Anonymous?
me. Ding, 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 ding.
I look at Angus. I say, play your horn.
I like Anonymous the best. That was a great answer.
That's wonderful.
I think that's right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ulrich, do you have any ale on you by any chance?
He's sleeping. God bless him. He's lucky.
Best nap ever.
Thanatos rode through the desert on a horse with no name. Not a moose. Not a moose.
Angus takes out a parchment and a quill and just starts writing.
He says, so if I'm the moose with no name, and this can be cracked, made, told, and played, what is it?
I don't know. My head hurts, Father.
But
You're
know
killing me
already.
right now. This is. I'm so befuddled by all these riddles.
It is.
Jokes.
It's a joke.
A joke on me.
Oh, no. The joke is
joke
on
on
them,
me.
boy. You know me. Tell me who I am.
But wait a minute. Is there a riddle in the etchings
Is there
that are on the scale?
only one which should confound those who do not know? But you do. You call me father. I have been with you through the years. But who am I, truly? I'm the moose with no name.
Bad. Bullwinkle?
Oh my God.
It's like,
Crooksus, are you okay?
I have a headache.
What's
I have a
what?
headache.
Tell us
guys-
what's happening.
Did you guys
What's
drop that
happening?
egg when you're bringing it back after you found it? Or
Dropped the egg on my
I
head.
wasn't carrying it. It wasn't me.
Angus dropped me many times. That's what he told me.
give it to the
wait,
Minotaur
the
with no
surface.
thumbs. He'll carry the egg.
Oh man!
Crooksus, tell me what's going on.
So that's how it was hatched. You used your hooks.
Use your-
Hatched, cracked.
Crack.
So it's
You are
your
hungry.
name. So I say my father's name.
What do you say?
I say what's his name again? Roldo. Rudo.
Mhm.
That's what Erie says.
As you
Erie
say
says
the
this.
name, the scale that you're holding in your hand, you see light glimmering, the turquoise rune flaring, And he says, "Say it again. Know it in your heart."
I believe this is what Angus said 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It's Roldo, right?
I am the joke last told to our foes. I am the moose whose name was forgotten. I brought with me the ancestor who brought the sword. I brought with me the gnomes with their books and their gears and their toys. They forget, but I have sent you so that they might yet remember.
I remember.
I guess I say, by the power of Roldo, I have
And I
the
think at this
power.
point, actually, Crooksus, the scale is almost vibrating in your hands, and you feel this strength of it. You see this soft glow around the stones on the exterior, and he says, "This was the gift given when I walked open in the world, when my laughter boomed over the hills, across the rivers, and through the deep valleys, when gnome and dwarf and ogre and giant could laugh and sing together, before they came and broke what we made. This is the sigil of those who serve, who remember that laughter breaks the terror of the dark, who remember that kindness sheds light in the shadows. There's a riddle for others, but know it in your heart. Call me what you will, but know me for who I am. I am not done laughing yet, boy, and you will have to carry your laughter heavy in your chests through the dark days yet to come, but do not forget its power."
So this is a weird sight because I'm just kind of dancing around with this scale in front of Angus and Eerie.
And I think you feel this flooding in your mind of awareness, and he says, "These were the gifts given to those who performed miracles under my doings in the first days. It will affix itself to the breastplate of your armor, to your shield, to any strong metal with which you attach it. Speak the words by the force of ore and the tongue of the dragons, and it will make its strengths known to you. It can guide you, seeking the poles of the world, helping you orient yourself while you are lost. Remember my razor wit, and it has gifts it might yet give."
Well, that's that. I look at Angus and Eerie. Well, now I know. And then I sit down again. And I look at the scale. And look
Eerie
at them.
looks
my
at
eyes.
Angus.
Angus is very intently writing.
Eerie looks at Angus and notices he's writing and just okay. Great.
Father's very mysterious, Eerie. He only talks to me. Well, he talked to you too, so that's great.
Well, he laughed
Consider
at me
yourself-
for the most part.
Well, he's always laughing at me and telling me jokes and things. I mean, remember before what he said? He told me, oh, I don't know if you know this or not, but he told me the woman on the flying disc was my enemy, was our enemy.
Shock.
And insightful.
Hey, Father. Pretty obvious.
What did the ocean say to the shore, my boy?
Hello?
Nothing. It just waved. He's laughing as the laughter dies off.
I tell Eerie that one. I say, listen, I'll tell you what's the ocean say to the shore.
It's great.
That's really
great.
Eerie doesn't get how jokes work.
Jokes are for not me. I'll do a riddle. I would.
That is a riddle.
Mm-mm. What is it, Crooksus?
I just wave at her. I just wave at Yuri.
She just rolls her eyes and throws her hands up.
She's like, if you're not going to tell me, I'm going to leave. Just walks away.
And, you know, it is very apt that you call him father because dad joke.
Dad joke.
As she's walking away, I think you hear in your mind.
No, she just like kind of like
Okay.
sits down, you know, passes. Not leaving.
Do I?
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Before we went to bed, when I was playing with the ring, did I knew it drew me in a particular, it was kind of pulling me in a particular direction. Did I get a sense for how far away the blade fall
Yes.
was?
You did.
Nice.
You know explicitly that it is approximately like 5 miles from where you are.
That's
Straight,
handy.
or as the
You have
As
5
the-
miles.
upper
Yeah.
whole
You
burrows?
have
or-
5
gonna
miles
say.
of walking to do through this twisting passage.
I would probably, before we even went to sleep, I would relay that to
Mhm.
the group. We've probably got 5. So I think we've looking ahead to our journey. I think we've got maybe like 5 miles of some trekking ahead of us. So I'm guessing a couple hours before we get to Bladefall, depending on the passages and the terrain and such.
Yeah. Well, we should let Holrick sleep, I think.
Adorable, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Mm.
let him rest.
Who's your little dwarf?
Okay. So you guys are going to let Ulrich sleep for a while.
Yeah.
Cool. So after a few hours, the dwarf awakens, Eerie having gone.
That was the best Star Wars movie, by the way.
Yeah. I'm ready. It'll be coming out in another couple of years, I'm sure, starring Peter Dinklage. So,
Dwarf bacons.
so you guys wait for Ulrich to sleep. Eerie, you have gone through identifying all these items. Crooksus, you puzzle over your scale for a time as Father reveals its secrets to you. This holy symbol of Roldo the Mirthful, the copper shepherd of the world. Eerie, you have time to go over this spell book that Ursula left with you, the Metallurgist spell book. It was basically like a primer given to her during her training with the Metallurgists. It contains a great deal of notes on the inside of it regarding the guild itself and some of their workings, as well as a handful of spells. And you realize while assessing it that the sigil on the cover could easily be removed should you want to use it for anything else. Ulrich.
No, go ahead.
Nope. Ulrich, you sleep for a few hours and you awaken.
Cool.
And so, yeah, you guys are able to eat some of your rations, drink your water, take in some of the food you have before you begin continuing your journey, descending through these tunnels, eh?
Yeah, Eerie, like, kind of at any point that she has, now that she is like has the spell book, she'll like take the time to read it. And if like I now first time wizard here, I can copy spells into my spell book. Okay. So yeah, I mean, whenever, how long does it take to copy a spell? It depends on the level?
Yes.
Or-
I believe it's 1 hour per level. And actually, we'll talk about this particular book because given the fact that it was written by your mentor who taught you this stuff, I think that we can talk in between sessions about you perhaps like just mastering this book and being able to use it as one of your additional spell books.
Cool.
making it your own. So we'll talk logistics
Sounds
before
good.
next session.
Yeah.
So to that end, is there anything else before you guys kind of break camp? Is there any other notes or conversation that we should make note of before you guys push onward?
No.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Do you tell me, Erie, what's going on with the axe and the...
I do, indeed.
Okay. Is there like a command word to recall it, or...
I don't think so. I think you just sort of will it. But-
Yeah, there actually would be a command word. It's like a dwarvish word. That's one of the many runes. Like, most of the runes on the axe are actually fakes. They're just there to, like, kind of confuse somebody and to be very dwarvish, because, like, fuck yeah, dwarves. But one of them, in fact, is the command word to recall the axe back to your hand, right?
Snufflegruff.
Yeah.
So, I'll try it. I just want to see if I put it on the ground, it comes back to my hand.
Yeah, it sure does.
Nice.
As you walk
So
away
fun.
from it. So yeah, you could throw it. No range penalty when you throw it.
What at the spider?
It's still got the same maximum range as a hand axe, but there's no penalty to long range, and it is a bonus
Okay.
action to recall it, right?
Cool.
So cool.
And so with that, the four of you begin descending again. Erie's staff alight, Angus's ring glowing, the four of you prowling your way through. There are a few points where I think we see you all stop, right? As you hear skittering and chattering moving down ahead. I think you catch sight of another like swarm of centipedes at one point, but the light intimidates them, and them not being chased by these spiders, they're diverted. They kind of vanish into the cracks and the crevices of the wall before they can raise an issue or a problem for any of you. And so you...
And by light, you mean spider musk.
Yes. Angus, quick to recall the spider musk to drive them off.
Do I? Well, Angus has swapped out his saber for Nalys's short sword
Okay.
as what he can readily and easily reach. But does the ring have to be activated for him to feel drawn to blade? Okay, he doesn't feel anything when it's in normal ring form.
Nope.
Okay.
As you've like slipped it now back over your war horn, that whole sensation is gone, right? And so, yeah, you guys press on further, down deeper, treading through the dust and the cobwebs, the warmth growing warmer as you go. And I think after what amounts to a solid 4 or 5 hours, probably 12 hours of travel altogether, since you guys have gotten down into these tunnels, much longer than you anticipated, enough that you're probably a bit sore and strained from bending and twisting, climbing over rubble, squeezing through narrow spots, crawling underneath low situations with the ceiling. You find yourself...
Angus is struggling.
It is a struggle. But you find yourself the passage widening as it goes, opening out into a roughly 60-foot diameter chamber, the light kind of vanishing up into the ceiling, some higher than 60 or 70 feet above you. As you look, you see these three great forms of what seem to have been the swords of Titans at one point, fallen and discarded at this place when they took their last stand. Angus, you recognize this room, stepping into it, this cavern, having been a place that you were so many years ago when you found what turned out to be little brother Crooksus before he hatched from the stone that was an egg that is your friend. Why don't you guys all roll perception checks? $13. Oh, Angus with the 20.
Yeah.
Oh, Ulrich
Aw.
with the very low roll. Okay. Eerie, Crooksus, Angus, Ulrich, you're like scanning the place, like the light from the frickin' ring and the staff, like hard to say. You're a little distracted by the tunnel behind you. The smell of the spider pheromones still kind of lingering in your beard. You got a little flavor saver there, like, and so I think that Eerie and Crooksus, you guys hear a sound of like, and you recognize it immediately. It's a sound that you've heard in the tunnels before. It's the sound of giant lizards foraging. There are giant lizards in these tunnels under here, some of them in the fishing chambers. They're generally not aggressive. Most of them, in fact, like your friend Angus, are vegetarian. And you hear them, and I think we see you like peering up, right? Eerie moving the staff a little bit, and you could see the shadowy shapes of these lizards kind of stuck high to the walls and the ceiling, pulling away at the lichens and the mosses up there eating. But Angus, your keen cow ears catch sight of...
How dare
I'm sorry. That was a grievous insult and entirely unnecessary. Your finely honed Minotaur perception catches a sound that these untrained dullards would never be able to hear. It is percussion.
Dullards.
It is a percussion sound. Clack, 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 clack. Clack, 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 clack. Clack, 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 clack. Coming from further away down the passage.
We don't like
Is there a
drums in the
regular
deep.
cadence? Is there a regular cadence to it, like the gait of a creature, or does it sound more like irregular?
No, there's a
communication?
definitive regular cadence. There is like there is a rhythm, dare I say, to this percussion. Could you individually, Angus, roll a nature check? Intelligence, nature. He's like, "Arr."
Oh wow, 18.
Nice.
Angus, Riothorn, you've lived in these mountains your whole life. You have heard of most of the typical dangerous enemies that people come across in these places, and what you hear are definitively the sounds of hook horrors calling back and forth to each other as they are synchronizing their attack on the lizards eating in this chamber. And I think with that realization that these subterranean predators are synchronizing their ambush of the lizards, your friends unaware of what occurs around them, that is where we will leave our heroes for tonight.
Oh,
I know that's a very anticlimactic place to stop, but if we get into a battle, we're going to be here till midnight and you guys will fall asleep. So,
drums in the deep. We don't like drums in the deep. Never good.
when Hookars
Is that-
attack.
So, after the fact, Angus will explain. So, what we were in fact hearing was actually a very sophisticated form of echolocation and communication done by these hook horrors that we encountered, and it actually was quite impressive to the trained ear. And I think we should be honored by the fact that we were treated to the hunting patterns of such aforementioned hook horrors. So that was quite a treat for us to have heard that.
Yeah, I think Ulrich looked at you and says, I think you were full of shite if you didn't just make spider pheromone 3 hours ago. So,
Yeah, just be glad I didn't do spider shite 3 hours ago.
Well, I hope that was a little bit less depressing and intense than last week. That was a slow roll as you guys made your way down through the tunnels, but you've reached your first major landmark. You have discerned the nature of these gifts given to you by your elders. You have some resources to bring to bear, and you now all can go forth in your lives with the full knowledge of what you call a moose with no name.
Wow.
Yeah, magical items help band-aid the trauma.
Band-aid the trauma.
So,
Has there been anything in our knowledge of Roldo that is referred to him like the mirthful, the moose?
Moose. Definitely the moose.
Because
He wasn't a
You
dragon.
think that he's just as
actually.
playing off the fact that like the shepherds are a myth, like you all were raised in this very specific community with people that talked to you about Roldo, about Vala and Toll, and Arome and Arian. But the 5 shepherds, the metallic dragons, who are the kind of benevolent gods of this world of Abrea, are a myth in most corners of the realm. They're believed to have been destroyed or fled entirely. At least that's the kind of line pushed by the dynasties, and that's a thing perhaps lost on all of you, which might have made that riddle a little even more confusing than it was meant to be. But yeah.
No. You still haven't meant. You still have not clarified a moose.
No, he just
Like,
they might have called him moose. It's hard to say. You can't confirm nor deny that. You'll have to discuss it with him.
We're convinced he was a moose. 100%.
Hopefully, once we complete the adventure, where's Roldo? He'll be able to get an answer to that. Well, I hope that was fun, you guys. Did you guys enjoy that? Is that a start? Are we getting there?
I enjoyed that.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
great.
You have treasure. You defeated one nasty spider. You very cleverly drove off the horde of centipedes, the swarm of centipedes. That was pretty good. And now you guys find yourself at Bladefall, at this strange subterranean cavern where Crooksus was discovered when he was but an egg. Because yes, he's an Earth Genasi who hatched from an egg. Hey, thank
we
you.
have only but
Danisina.
begun to scratch the surface of the number of blanks in heat that Angus is able to mimic the sound.
well, we'll see. How well your nature Rolodex is, your olfactory senses.
No, we don't need to encourage this. Nope.
You're right. You don't need to encourage it because I don't need encouragement.
He's ready to run with it. With
You
no
are a bard.
encouragement.
I'm ready to fire at all musky cylinders.
Hey, so before we part tonight, the 5 of us have kind of been kicking around the idea, and I sort of danced around it last time without speaking clearly. But the 5 of us have been kicking around the idea of having us regroup later in the week and maybe just doing one-on-one conversations. This is Firelight Tales. The adventure is Titans Heirs. We thought, what if we do a show that's fireside chats, where maybe we sit down one-on-one and we talk about everybody's experiences with D&D. I can go in a little bit deeper on Abrea and the lore of this world that we're in and contextualize some of what's going on, some of the motivation behind like the design choices I made, your guys' characters. Like, just for the listeners out there, give us a heads up if you dig that. If that's a thing that seems cool, hit me up on Twitter, Warfrat1625. Hit the players up. You can find everybody but John. John is elusive. He's tricky. Can't nail that guy down. But just a thought, and if you guys think you dig that, we're interested in maybe doing that.
I concur.
Yeah, I would. I would love to do that.
Okay, cool. Well, with that, does anybody have anything that they would like to say or plug or note before we part for the evening, my friends?
I did all my pop culture recommendations at the top of the show.
You sure did. They were good ones too. Discworld series, people, check it out.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Loki to come out. That's what I'm
Oh
ready
my
for.
gosh,
Pop
yeah.
culture references.
Are you dialed in
Yeah,
on
I'm
your
excited about
WandaVision,
this.
Mike? You've been caught up on WandaVision?
I watched one episode and but I heard it really got good. It got better.
Baby, I loved
So-
it. I've been like foaming at the mouth for it to come out. So it's slow start, but man, I love it.
Yeah,
These
it was
first 3 are
very slow
good.
for
I dig
me.
it. I know you
It's
like
still on my
kinetic.
list. I still gotta watch that.
But I heard it got better.
Behind.
So I heard it got very interesting.
It's
So-
very interesting. Okay, rather than sit here and talk about Disney Plus programming for another hour, I love you guys. Thank you all for joining me. Taylor is selling stickers. Go check her out on Twitter. Ronia22 at Ronia422 at Ronia422.
422. Yeah.
I should probably change that font so it's legible. Hit me up, Warfrat1625. Thank you guys all for coming and hanging out tonight.
Thanks, guys.
We wish you well. Good night. Good night.
Night.
Night,
night, all.
everybody.
Good night. We're still streaming. I'm going to hang it up now. Okay, bye.